Let's talk about all things 2025 so far. We've had some good books, we've had some bad books, we've had some really good experiences this year. We're gonna do some questions from the mid-year freakout tag, and then I think I'm also just gonna go over some of the things like look forward to on my channel, things that have been working for me, things that haven't as well. So it's gonna be kind of a mix of all things, and I hope people enjoy it just to see a brief overview of what 2025 has looked like so far for me. You know what, I'm a little bit past mid-year at this point of filming it. It's almost the end of July, so you're actually going to see a little tidbit of the 7th month as well. I'll include July books as well into it because they're fresh in my mind, and why not? The first question in the mid-year freakout is the best books you've read so far. The answer when I read the book was The Wind Weaver. I thought that this was my favorite book of the year quite easily, and I really loved this story, and I've been telling everyone to read it, and it definitely holds a place up there, potentially at number 1. However, there is a story that I read earlier this year that I just like can't get out of my brain, and so like does that make it my favorite book of the year? Because like I literally have been thinking about this story constantly, and it's Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. I was not expecting this book to become my whole personality, and I think it has. So best book of the year goes to one of these at this point. This is a little more fantasy leaning. This is definitely more romantasy leaning. It's just like a standalone with some trials, but there is so much about this book that I think about constantly. And not to say I don't think about this book, I'm obsessed with it as well, but it has had less time since I read it only like a month ago versus this one has just like sat in my thoughts for 6 months, and I'm continually sitting about it. And as someone who has recency bias, that always stands out to me as something that I really loved if I can still think about it 6 months later. So one of these probably. The best sequel I've read so far, I think this one has to go to The Mime Order, which I actually read in July. I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. This is the sequel to the Bone season. I was not expecting to love this series as much as I have, and I definitely can see this becoming one of my all-time favorite series. So I'm very excited that I found a new series to just like completely obsess with, and this sequel really cemented that for me. The way this is handling discussions on like rebellion and like gaslighting and growing up and being kind of taught something. I am loving this series so freaking much, and I loved this sequel a lot. Like truly, I loved it a lot. Question number 3 is a new release you haven't gotten to yet but really want to. This one's easy, but it's also one I've been putting off just because I'm scared I'm not going to love it as much as book 1, and it is Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. I loved Heartless Hunter last year, and I have heard good things about the sequel, but I haven't heard people like scream about it, and I feel like Heartless Hunter everyone was screaming about, so I'm scared, and I don't like to be scared, but I really do need to read this. I need to finish this duology off, and I need to know how the story ends, or even just like, I need to know. So I really do need to read this one. Please, someone convince me in the comments to read it. Question 4 is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. There are so many of these. It's actually insane. I've been having a year of reading new releases and enjoying new releases. I'm definitely more excited than I've ever been for new releases in the second half, but I really surprised myself this year by falling in love with Lila Sage, and so I think the one I'm most excited for is Soul Searching by Lila Sage, which is a contemporary paranormal romance. I guess this time it is paranormal, and I just love her themes and her romances equally, and I've learned more and more that the themes of a story really do have to connect with me as well as the characters, but if they're not, I think I'm a theme reader sometimes. Like I love reading stories that have themes that hit me hard. I'm very much a self-inserter. I have learned that about myself, so I have to relate to a story and a character, and I seem to relate to all of Lila Sage's stories pretty well, so very excited for Soul Searching. Next question is the biggest disappointment this year. For me, it was Broken Souls and Bones by LJ Andrews. I DNF'd this book after trying it twice, both physically and through the audiobook, and I just could not get into it. I found it very boring, which really sucks considering how much I loved the Ever King and the Ever Queen. So I'm very disappointed that I didn't like her traditionally published release, and I also have this really pretty edition that I'm unhauled earlier this year, but I haven't done an unhaul video yet, so it's still just sitting on my floor. But I was very excited for this one, and it let me down so much, so that is very depressing for me. On the other side of this, the next question is your biggest surprise. And honestly, I think the answer to that is Phantasma, because I had no plans to ever read this story. I actually only ended up reading it because I did a book to her favorites video this year where I read the most talked talked about romantasy that I hadn't read, and Phantasma was the literally most talked about one that I hadn't read. But I had heard from people that they didn't expect me to like this one. It has a trope I don't typically love sometimes, and all these other things. So this was not on my radar to read at all. I did not plan on reading it, and then I picked it up for that video, and obviously it's a contender for my favorite book of the year. So I loved this so much. So I think this was my biggest surprise of the year. I was not expecting to love this as much as I did. But to name a second one, I also think The Bone Season just like really, really surprised me as well. So I was not expecting to love this. It's almost been unhauled a couple times, and I'm obviously now obsessed with the series. A favorite new author, I think I already kind of touched on, Lila Sage. I read her entire Rebel Blue Ranch series this year and fell in love with her as an author, and I'm obviously excited to read more from her, so definitely she is a favorite new author of mine. It's hard for me to talk about authors as favorites because I'm someone that it really matters the story and not just like the author. So I think that's truly my only answer, but hopefully I'll have a couple more favorite new authors by the end of the year as I read more from them. Question 8 is my newest fictional crush. This one's kind of easy, and I think it has to be Orion from the Zodiac Academy. I am on to book 4 of this one, and honestly both of the like main men in this have really, really grown on me, but Professor Orion has my heart for sure. I have really, really enjoyed this series, and if you want to read a CW show, this is it. Like, this literally feels like a CW show, like Vampire Diaries, Teen Wolf, Pretty Little Liars. Like, the drama and the angst of those is in this, and it is magical. So I definitely would recommend this one quite a bit, and I definitely think that the 2 love interests in this that I know of right now are both pretty top tier for me for this year. Question 9 is your newest favorite character. It is so hard not to answer the same books for every question because I'm obsessed with the same books. I'm someone who just gets so obsessed with things, and I make it my entire personality. I think my newest favorite character is from The Bone Season. The more books I read in this, the more respect I have for Paige. I think as a main character, I find her so endearing, and I seem to love her more and more. So I think that she is my favorite character of the year. This is why I had to include July, because this series is just taking over my life. Question 10 is a book that made you cry, and honestly I don't remember what book it was. Actually, I probably cried in both of them, but the Legacy series by Melissa K. Rowick, I've read book 1 and 2 this year. I definitely cried in these. I remember a very intense, heartbreaking scene in these, and this is one of my favorite series so far as well. I really just need to dive into book 3 because, as I said, my recency bias really does get me, and I remember loving these so much, so I need to get to book 3. This is why I'm a binge reader, because series as a whole tend to stick with me more than just like one book in the series. So I really need to continue this and feel the entire series out, because then it'll really, really stick in my brain. But these are definitely so heartbreaking and so well done. The characters in this are so well fleshed out. I definitely recommend this series, especially if you're a romantasy fantasy reader. A book that made you happy, all of them. But honestly, I tend to read for emotional devastation more than I do for happy feelings, but I want to be giggling while I read as well. But I would say one that never made me like emotionally devastated and I felt happy with was the Bourbon Boy series, whether it's Bourbon and Lies or the other 2 in this series. I had such a fun time with these, and I binged them like all in one sitting, that I think that this is probably one that really stuck with me as a happy book for me. But as I said, my 5 stars tend to have emotional damage. I am someone who likes to be bawling my eyes out in books. I like to feel so deeply for the characters that I am crying. So I wouldn't say this is just like a happy book either, but I felt happy when I read it because I binged it and I was obsessed. The most beautiful book I've bought all year. Honestly, I think I bought these this year. Well, I think they were delivered to me this year, but I'm gonna go with probably the Cruel Prince series. This is the Fairy Loot edition, and I just think that these are absolutely breathtaking. I love the art style, and I think the gold edge also just like really works on them. But since I think I technically purchased those last year and just they got delivered to me this year, one that I purchased this year, The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. This is again the Fairy Loot edition for their epic fantasy sub, and I think that this edition is literally breathtaking. I'm not sure I'm gonna love this book, but like the art in it is stunning, and I think that it is such a beautiful edition. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Too many to count. I actually have a video on my channel that I did earlier that is the 10 books I want to read before the end of the year, so I'll leave that down below for you to check out. I would like to finish the Bone Season series. I would like to continue in the Zodiac Academy series. I need to get to Rebel Witch. I need to get to the 3rd book in the Legacy series. There are so many that I really, really do need to prioritize by the end of the year, but there are always too many books coming to my TBR, so some of them will definitely get forgotten until 2026. Okay, so that's the end of the mid-year freakout tag, but I did just kind of want to talk about my channel as a whole. We do goals at the beginning of the year, and sometimes I like to re-look at them and things like that. Just things that are happening on my channel that I have been enjoying. There are some series I've been doing on my channel. TBR Swap, which is where I ask a booktuber to play my TBR game and I play their TBR game and we control each other's like TBR for a week, has been one of my favorite things to do. So that is definitely staying on my channel till the end of the year at least. Exciting new episode of that coming in August. And then Reader DNF has really been helping me get my series down, so that is also sticking around for the time being. But one that I think I have to rethink about is Unsubscribe My Wallet, which is when I was reading down my special editions, seeing which ones I would keep or not, just because I ended up not keeping a lot of them already. I haven't even done episodes on them, and I ended up canceling my Fabled subscription because I had one of the worst experiences I've ever had with a company before with them, and I can no longer support their company. I canceled my Illumicrate Horror one because I haven't been reading those. So I'm not sure how that's gonna go at this point in time. I'm not even sure how to get those episodes. I still have a bunch of Fabled books. I think I have 7 unread ones that I do need to get through, but I also personally don't want to put them on my channel that much because I hated my experience with them that much that I don't want to promote them. Illumicrate Horror, I should probably just unhaul those because I don't think I'm going to like those books. So like I don't know what to do with that channel, with that series. I don't know if there's still interest in watching those things, even though like I've already decided kind of which ones I'm keeping and have gotten rid of a bunch of the ones that I didn't. Goal wise, a lot of my goals I have been doing decent with. One of my goals was to get my NetGalley score up though, and I definitely have not done that. It's sat at like 50% pretty much this entire year, so I really should prioritize those. But another goal was to buy less random books and have a really good TBR and shelves full of books I love. Definitely been doing that. I've bought so little books this year, and I am now moving. I bought a house with my boyfriend, so I will be having a lot more room on my shelves, and I'm almost to the point where like, wow, I need to buy more books now because I did so good this year that I literally do not have enough books to fill the new shelves that I will be having. But I'm glad because it really means that my shelves are looking at things that I absolutely love at this point. A goal is to stay up to date with Goodreads, which I've done more than I have in the past, but probably not to the point that I would like it to be at. Another goal was to hit 20k, which I'm on path to do that. I'm probably on path to go ahead of that. I wanted to grow my Instagram this year, which I definitely have done. I have been loving short form content. I have been recommending books on Instagram. I really enjoyed Instagram and TikTok this year, and I want to continue to post on there. I'm loving exploring that side of my creativity and my community as a whole. Binge read series, yes and no. I definitely have binge read a couple series, but I want to do more. I love binge reading series that I want to do more. Honestly, I haven't found a lot of series this year that I want to binge, and that's probably part of it. Work on my subscription books, we kind of already talked about. Read what I want to read and DNF more are my last 2 goals, which I think I've definitely done. I have DNF'd more than I've ever DNF'd in my life, and I think it's showing that I have more books that I am excited about this year than any other year. Less flops for sure, because I've made so much progress in DNFing. I've come a long way from someone who never DNF'd a book, so very proud of myself. I feel like I've done very good at looking at these goals. Anything else I want to add for the next chapter? I want to read more fantasy. I think my love of the Bone season has pushed me back into wanting to read more fantasy style. I have fallen kind of out of love with the publishing aspect of fantasy right now. For the last year, I feel like it's been a lot more like cozy, a lot more like slow quest journey driven. I want to see rebellions and fast paced and unique stuff. And so I'm trying to find some of those and maybe in some of the older gems again, like the Bone season. I would like to try the Darker Shade of Magic series. I have a feeling The Devils is going to be more slow, but I would like to try it. I don't know, I'm looking for recommendations, things that give you the Bone season vibes, things that give you the Poppy War, the Daevabad series, Ashes of the Sun, Chronicles of the Unhewn Throne, compelling characters really going through some stuff that's not just a long journey that's very slow slow. I like more fast-paced stories for sure. School settings, those things always get for me. So I'm struggling to find those in the fantasy sphere, but I would like to get back into finding those in the fantasy sphere. So if anyone has any recommendations of a solid fantasy series that they think I would love to know them. I think going forward on my channel, I just want to continue to do what I'm doing this year. I've really enjoyed my channel this year. I have been posting less videos a month, but prioritizing like longer vlogs or like vlogs that I really am passionate about and enjoy, which I think people have seen. I have not been just like putting random sit down videos in. I've been really like thinking about the content and thinking, would I watch this? Do I like this type of content? Things like that. And I would like to continue to see that moving forward. I like to do more stuff with other booktubers. I have a really fun episode of Reader DNF coming up, which is like booktubers picking. And I've had a lot of fun like reaching out to some booktubers that I haven't talked to very much and some new channels that I've fallen in love with this year. I'd like to do more collaborative things. I would like to participate in more readathons. I love readathons. Patreon wise, I've been very happy with the readathons we've had. We just had a really fun readathon where like my Patreon got hacked and we played the game Hangman, and every 1,000 pages, it was a collective amount of pages, they got a guest to guess what the secret password was for Hangman. It was so much fun. It really had us all reading and making guesses. And we do like fun things like that, and I want to continue doing fun things like that. We have like a year-long Patreon readathon that I've been really enjoying, which is a scavenger hunt, and each month they get a new prompt for one book that they read that month. I've really been letting my brain be super creative this year with things like that, and I've very much enjoyed it, but I've also put no pressure on my brain to do things at the same time, and I feel like I'm getting some of the best content I've ever made out of it. So I'm very proud of my channel this year, and I want to continue that. I want to continue being proud of the things I'm putting out there, and I think it makes a difference. So thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all for watching my channel. Let me know if you relate to any of this, if you're changing anything, if there's anything you'd like to see me do on my channel, like a video series. I've been loving video series so much, like things with lots of episodes and things like that. So if you see anything that you'd like me to do, let me know. I do think I kind of want to do something with this shelf down here, which is like where I say books go to die. It's actually where A Darker Shade of Magic lives. I don't know what it is though, but I'm trying to think on it. I will leave the 10 books that I have to read before the end of the year on the screen for you to check out, in case you were wondering what those looked like from that one question in the mid-year freakout. And if you made all the way to the end of this video and you'd like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me some sort of drink emoji, and have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.